We'll check in with John Keim. He covers the Commanders for ESPN.com. Hey, John.
What up, fellas? How are you?
So, we have a branded Misery Monday thing that's branded. We have to, but it doesn't feel like a Misery Monday. How did it feel like to you, and how did the locker room feel?
Well, yes, and it's funny that you say that because I used to do on my podcast like a Therapy Tuesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a live stream show. I'm like, I don't call it that anymore because I think because of Jaden Daniels. I think that's where a lot of it comes back to, right? That you don't like, yeah, it was a loss, and it's for a fan, it's a you want to win that game. But if you see number 5 playing the way he is, you have a chance pretty much in every game now. I wouldn't say that was the feeling in the locker room, just because I don't think you can take that approach. I kind of go back to that Philadelphia loss last year, where remember they had that really good game in Philly. They end up losing. It's like, oh wow, it's a loss, but it's a good loss. Or you say it was I wouldn't say moral victory, but it was like, wow, you were right there, you competed, blah blah. And then they lay an egg against Chicago 4 days later. So you have to be careful in the locker room how you process that. But I think I think that what they realized and what you hear from the locker room too is you got to clean up mistakes. Like, and Dan Quinn would say, like, it felt lopsided, but we were there, right? So I think that's the approach. But from my perspective, you kind of almost say went almost how you could envision it, right? Like there were issues on defense, but Jaden Daniels made plays and made some really good plays that make you realize they're going to be in it for the long haul this year.
John, can you describe how different the vibe is when Josh Harris and Adam Peters walk off the field with the team and basically escort them into the locker room? Like, I don't ever recall seeing that sort of vibe with Dan Snyder, like being all.
Well, there was never a vibe with Dan Snyder,
right? Like it's still markedly different.
Oh, everything is different.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk to the security guards at the front entrance, and it's at the practice facility, and it's dramatically different. I think there's certainly a feeling like these guys are invested in them in more ways, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I don't think I could adequately describe the difference other than to say it's very much night and day. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I could even. I think we all know the difference, right?
Right, certainly.
One treats people like humans, and so.
Right. One treats people like humans.
So I don't know what to. You kind of touched on it. I know I'm against the grain here. Like everyone likes to say, they're not moral victories. I don't think this was a moral victory because it kind of played out. I actually believe in them, Mo. I think they're a real thing, but I don't think this was really appropriate here because it kind of played out exactly how we thought. I mean, it's going to take a Herculean effort to beat a team like the Ravens, who are legit Super Bowl contenders. I think the Commanders are a team on the come. They're a team on the rise. Yeah. I think we're playoff contenders. Anything beyond that, I think is kind of crazy. Would take a lot of luck and good fortune. Right. But I was, and it did solidify where I thought we were defensively. I was a little confused the last couple of weeks because of the performance, but I think that was opponent dependent. We're exposed. Everyone likes to make fun of St. Juiced. I think St. Juice fights. He competes. He just not. He just not. He can't cover Zay Flowers. I mean, Zay Flowers is like a mini Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, and even on there was one to Zay Flowers. It's like a 25-yard gain. Lamar Jackson had I just timed it a few minutes ago. It was almost 4 seconds to throw the ball. It's like 3.6 seconds. Right. It's a long time to cover somebody in a crosser. That's not to give excuses. Mm-hmm. It's just that's reality.
Right.
And so there's a bad combination there. First of all, the Baltimore took complete advantage with a lot of play action throws and just some good designs to play off the intent to try and stop Derrick Henry, and it was really, really good. But yes, I mean I agree with you. To me, it just kind of highlighted where exactly they are right now. Mm-hmm. They have a really good young quarterback. They have a defense that remains that needs pieces. And you look at one team and say that's a Super Bowl contender. You look at the other team and you say that's a contender to win the NFC East. Right. And beyond that, I think you'd need more. But I would say, I even told someone after the game, like, you just need to get in the playoffs, right? And there's a long way to go. They're 4-2. To even talk about the playoffs, but a team, the way Daniels is playing, like they're not going to be. If this team gets there, they're not going to be a team that a lot of people want to face because of what he can do.
Right.
And but I think just from an overall roster building and all that, they have work to be done. That is clear. And I think it just highlighted that to me. And the thing that I have kind of harped on a few times is there's a consistent message from Dan Quinn after these games, whether it's a Tampa loss, the Giants win, whatever. It's really about like, okay, you did this, now you got to get back to work on Wednesday, and it's more matter of fact. And it's like, I think that consistent message helps you kind of build off these games in whatever way you need to.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I think it just highlighted where exactly they're at.
John, you encapsulated Baltimore's offensive dominance in a tweet from about 40 minutes ago at John_Keim that Washington allowed a season-high 13 plays that gained 15 or more yards versus the Ravens. On those plays, Baltimore gained 311 yards. I mean, just big chunk plays that they were giving up. And look, I know Carolina's 1-5. They're going nowhere fast, but they have some offensive playmakers that can make plays like Deontay Johnson and Chuba Hubbard. Like, that still has to be an issue for Joe Witt and Dan Quinn going forward.
For sure. And I think that's going to be a hard one because now a difference yesterday was, again, the intent to stop Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson running the ball. And I think in other games, you can play more two deep coverage consistently to try and take more of those big plays away, right? So I think there's a way, because this is like by far a season high. So I think you can do things down the road against other teams that aren't as dangerous and dual threat like the Ravens offense is. Mm-hmm. So that will help, but it remains something you have to be concerned about against a team that can throw the ball. Because they have shown that Arizona, they did a good job against Arizona and against Cleveland, but the Browns aren't really threatening anybody on offense right now.
No.
So, but I do think that's something you have to watch down the road in any game where there's, you have a good passing attack. But I do think Baltimore's offense, because again, that's what I've been doing this morning is watching the big plays. Why did they happen? Mm-hmm. And so much of it starts with the focus on Derrick Henry and the run game.
I don't know if you've gone through it yet, but I got a couple questions for you. But why did we get? Because I haven't rewatched it. Why did we struggle early to get going? Was it just we couldn't get established the run, and then it just we were getting kind of a little behind the chains more than we have in the past?
Yeah, and I haven't had a chance to watch all that stuff yet. Certainly not on offense yet. But I'll be honest. I'm trying to remember the first part of that game. There were, I was surprised early on that they weren't able to throw the ball like they started to later. That's the thing I'm looking at because I didn't think they'd be able to run the ball. Like that's a really, really good. That may be the best run defense they'll face. Mm-hmm. So that wasn't. And you're missing Brian Robinson. So I wasn't surprised that they actually thought they had a couple of runs. They got 6 or 7 yards. Like, oh, that's a good run because against that defense, they've given up 3 carries of 10+ yards this year. So like that was not surprising to me. It was the surprising part was the pass game, and that's what I want to see when I go back and watch. What took a little bit to get going, and I think the one thing that kept them in the game is that the defense did at least they caused a turnover, held them to a field goal one time. So that gave the offense a chance to at least get some momentum going early on.
Can you highlight one of the things that I was most thrilled with was just Jaden is continuing to throw these tight window balls, the precision with his accuracy. And so a lot of times I don't know what to make of it. I'm like, are they just dump offs? And they're like, no, man, these are friggin' tight window, throwing guys open, very small opportunities that he's kind of doing repeatedly.
Yes. Well, but to me, I think there are a couple, the touchdown pass to McLaurin, the second one.
Yeah.
And both of them really good, but the second one highlights. Yeah, well, so this is where it highlights the growth of their development together. And this is one thing that McLaurin has talked about repeatedly over the years about getting to a point with a quarterback where you're on the quote unquote same page. Like he would talk about like other passer quarterback or receiver quarterback combinations almost like with, resignation sometimes because he didn't have that. And took him. So like that touchdown, this is where I highlight. So on that play, he asked McLaurin, what route do you want here? And you get a little bit of choice. So he wants to slant. And then he's like, but watch how the defensive back is playing me or whatever. And the D-back has inside leverage, so he's taking away the slant. But they have to both read that. The quarterback's got to read the leverage and the body language of the receiver. So McLaurin stems, fakes to the inside, plants hard to the inside, and that's where the pump comes. And then he hits him on the out. Then it converts to the fade, but he throws the back shoulder, which was the right throw, and he throws it in the spot where only McLaurin can get it. So there were like multiple really good things on that play that, again, show the development, show the accuracy, and just he's got a lot of poise in the pocket, but that's just preparation, right? Like that's what they always talk about with him. But the growth is there. It's not just a good throw. It's why, what led to the throw that to me is like, and this is what I'd always say about him in practice is like, you see him on the field doing this stuff, you can see it, but the stuff that mattered most, in my opinion, was everything you heard outside of beyond the field and the work you put in. And that's the kind of stuff that it leads to. So that's where, that's why I think they're so like, when you talk to McLaurin after the game, like his eyes get big talking about this because he's really excited about the connection that they've developed and that he's developing with others too. But that play was really, symbolized that.
JK, you mentioned B-Rob. I assume he's going to be back for the Carolina game. We'll wait and see. But can you talk about the other injuries during the game, especially Armstrong and Allen?
Yeah, Armstrong left with the rib injury, and Allen obviously had the pec. He'll get an MRI today. I saw him briefly in the locker room afterwards. Had a big wrap around his chest and his arm. You don't know what they're going to show. I think. I don't know that this is some long-term thing.
Right,
so I just think, so I don't know that. And I don't think any people should go there at this point. So I think we'll just know more today. And cause you never know what the MRI is going to show, but, and then it was also Javonte Jean-Baptiste left. He had a walking boot on his right foot as he left the locker room. So that's 3 D linemen that you don't know where, even if they only miss a game or two, like that's taking away a lot of depth at an area where you kind of need it. And that goes back to what you were saying earlier about Carolina's passing game. Because obviously you want to affect the passer and you're losing guys like that, like it makes it a little bit harder.
Right.
If that's the case, but we'll learn more about those today when we talk to Dan Quinn.
Okay.
All right, John, good stuff.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.